Hello, and welcome back to another recording of Terrestrial Nomad, the podcast. Hey, how's it going? It's been a little while since we've talked last. I'm glad you could join me today. I don't really have much to say. I'm just taking a break. I've been waterless for 4 miles now. And I have just under 1 mile left to get to the next water source, so I will definitely be cameling up, as they say, at the next water source. 0.8 miles away, not too far, so this will be an easy 15-minute walk. Let's see. I'm trying to remember the last time we spoke. When did I record last? Oh, I think the last time I recorded was at the hut. Peter Grubb Hut, I believe it's called. And, that was an interesting night. Oso and Hatchet made it to the hut at probably like midnight. So I'd already been sleeping for a few hours. Or not midnight, maybe 10 p.m. And I'd been sleeping for a few hours. And they startled me, and then they kind of kept the fire going, played guitar and stuff until midnight, which was difficult to sleep, and then made me kind of think about how reliable the huts will be on the AT, because I'm such a light sleeper that I don't know if that's going to be so conducive to my thru hike to have such distractions and whatnot, because I wasn't really able to sleep, and that house didn't really hold its noise very well. But it was a good night, and hiked out in the morning. I believe it was the next day or the day after. We did get to Sierra City. Me and Tejas have been talking since that day and kind of just going over stuff, and we've come to a mutual conclusion that we can just hike together and have fun and enjoy each other's company as long as we can have fun and enjoy each other's company. So that's what we're still currently doing now. So we've been still kind of camping together and hanging out and hiking together during the day, or sometimes we won't see each other until the night or something like that. But it's been pretty good. And then we got into Sierra City. There's a really good swimming hole right before Sierra City, 0.4 miles before. Highly recommend that if you're doing this section or you're going to the Sierra City. Definitely make an hour's worth of time to go swimming down there. It is so worth it. When you get to Sierra City, it's 1.4 miles from trail, so it's nice and close. We ended up walking it. Me and Skyline, that's who I got there with. And I got a little trail magic there, which was pretty cool. A guy who's going to Washington. Actually, that's the guy I just saw before recording this podcast. Now I remember who I saw. I recognized his shirt, the Rail Riders, and that he has the same Brooks as me. Anyways, yes, that man and his wife, they had Washington plates on the car. She must be assisting him or helping him out in this section, but he said, "Hey, do you want some trail magic? Do you want a Coke or a beer?" And I was like, beer? Yeah, that's nice. So got a beer from that guy. Did not get a ride from that guy, which was kind of weird because he was going to Sierra City. So me and Skyline just walked it. Skyline did not get a beer because he was just a little too late, and he was confused about why I had a beer. We get to Sierra City. I got my trekking poles that I'd left in my friend's car at High Sierra Music Festival. So I'm back with trekking poles. My legs are feeling 10 times better because, I hiked 1,100 miles with them, and then all of a sudden I did a 95 mile stretch without them, and it was just super difficult. It was really hard to do. It changes a lot. It puts a lot more on your feet and your hips, and your leg muscles are not getting challenged when you have a trekking poles. But yeah, I got them back, and that's been really great. So went to the post office, got to the general store, and that is basically the whole town. There's a restaurant as well but it's not really much. The store's prices, I had a few days of food still left because of how quickly I made it there. We were doing over 20 miles a day, which I haven't done that in probably this whole trip, where I did over 20 miles all the way between two resupplies. So, which I will be needing to do to pick it up to get to Canada in time. But it's not so difficult if you just kind of have to like prioritize your time a little bit better and break camp a little earlier. Yeah, I had a few extra days of food because of the quickness that I hiked. So I did have to buy for my resupply at Sierra City, but luckily I only had to buy 2 days of food. But after the coffee that I got for trail, and then the beers I packed out, the burger I got, the corn dogs, the ice cream, I think I probably spent about $75 there, which is kind of been my like average whatever, and I felt okay about it just because I got basically lunch, and then I ate dinner, and then I packed out 4 beers, and those beers lasted 2 days on trail, which was kind of cool, and it was nice to have those out. Whereas like in my mind, I think I would have paid, $7 or $8 for each of those beers. So wilderness beers are delicious. Across from the store is a RV park that has a really sweet river that runs behind it. And if you sign in with the manager of the RV park, they'll let you go down there and swim. They specifically said no smoking, no drinking, and no nakedness. So that was a bummer, but yeah, we still went down to the river. We still had some alcohol, we still had some smoking, but we did leave our clothes on just in case there was any prudes in the area. Yeah, so we kind of did that, charged up all of our stuff. I didn't realize they had Wi-Fi there, so I messed up and didn't get my podcast downloaded and get my other stuff with Wi-Fi, check my email, that kind of stuff, check up with friends. But it's fine. It's all for the better. I didn't really need it that bad. And then we hiked out that same night, which I felt really good about. I haven't done that in a while, not stayed somewhere. Hiked out that night, made it a couple miles up a hill. Me and Tejas kind of went to bed early that night, got up super early the next morning. I believe we did 23 miles out or 24 miles. And then the next day we did another 24 miles. And then yesterday we did way less miles, but we had a really great time. We found a little cutoff where a lot of hikers were taking breaks and stuff, but I got there at 10 in the morning. I hiked 10 miles in 3 hours. It was quite astonishing. Got there at 10 a.m. I hung out for about an hour until Tejas got there. Once she got there, we were kind of just swimming and sunbathing and relaxing and doing our laundry. And I had thought about this plan before resupplying in our next area that we should only, because we'd hiked 10 miles to get to the river. So I said that we should take all day, just relax here, maybe take some psychedelics, maybe just sit around all day, and then hike out at like 6 o'clock. So we ended up taking an 8-hour break at the river. It was quite magical. Got to do our laundry, sunbathe, ate a bunch of food. It was an amazing experience. And then we hiked out at about 6 p.m. and we only made it up like 1 or 2 miles maybe. So yesterday was pretty small as far as miles go. But as far as smiles go, very high in smiles. So, sometimes you got to get your smiles in, but just as bad as you got to get your miles in. So today we're looking at, we woke up, I think she hit trail at 6 a.m., which is kind of crazy. I got out at 7:15 a.m., which is pretty good for me. I am destroyed, covered in bug bites, like just enough to make it look like my legs just have hives all over them because they're so closely spaced between each bite. So I'm going to need to take some Benadryl later, but yeah. So got out 7:15 in the morning. There was a stream up like a mile ahead. We both met up at that stream. I only got 0.75 liters because I knew there was another stream in 5 miles, and I thought, well, I'll drink a liter here, carry a liter or 3/4 of a liter, and then I'll hike 5 miles. Sure, no problem. I get that to that 5 miles in about an hour and a half or 2 hours, and going quite steep up this mountain. And there is no spring there. It's a seasonal spring, so there's no water. And I'm thinking to myself, okay. Luckily, I have a phone that tells me where the next water is. It's about 2 miles away, and I am just nearly there now. I just wanted to stop and take a break and rest. Normally I hike 2 hours in the morning, and I'll take like anywhere from 15 to 30 minute break. And then I like to hike about, depending on the time I get going, I like to hike another hour and a half to 2 hours before taking that next break, which is still not lunch, and then usually hike one more hour, and then lunch for 1 full hour, and then the hiking schedule is always different after that, but I usually like to go 2 hours and then take a nice little break and just sit on my butt and do some stretches and yoga and whatnot. But today, yeah, I got to about, let's see, what time is it? It's 10:17, so that means I've been hiking for about 3 hours, which is solid. It's not bad to not take that break, but I really like having the routine of every 2 hours, and I kind of got to that seasonal spring where the water should have been at 2 hours, so I kind of planned it like that, but either way, I pushed ahead, and I will be at water in about 30 minutes, or wait, 30, no, like 15, and yeah, let's see, I think where we swam yesterday is 9 miles away from this point, so I'd like to think that I've hiked about 7 or 8 miles so far, which is, it's okay for 3 hours. I have also, I can check the incline that I've done. We have gone uphill 4,000 feet just in the last 3 hours, so it's been quite extravagant. Later today, I will re-meet up with Tejas, and we are going to do the Bucks Lake alternative. It's on the Half Mile app, as there being a store, Haskins store, Haskens, Haskins. There's a Haskins store, a Haskins campground, there's a Bucks Lodge, there's a lakeshore resort, and then it gets back onto trail. It's a 6 mile like alternative that cuts 4 miles off, so you kind of just add 2 miles. But my thinking here is that we'll be able to swim in the lake, which would be fun because we haven't. So far, this section of trail is kind of not getting us right on the lakes like it had been before. It's more of putting us up higher on the ridges for the last couple 100 miles, and then you hike down to a lake. So you could either go like 2 miles down to a lake. So I have a feeling that this alternative is going to get us right on the lake, and we'll be able to swim there, and maybe, I mean, we did our laundry yesterday, but maybe do some stuff that we hadn't done or forgot at the lake there. And then there is also beer, wine, and cigarettes at the store. That's what I'm thinking. The resort's probably going to have that stuff. My food is doing great. I just would love to have like a couple bags of Skittles and a couple bags of Snickers or something like that. So maybe get like all right, I gotta stop. But I was gonna say, chocolate dipped ice cream cone would just, I would pay $10 for that right now. That's nothing. It doesn't exist. I would pay anything for a chocolate dipped ice cream cone right now. Okay, I can't get started down this talking about food situation. So later today, about 5 or 6 miles, the alternative starts, and then in 2 miles we hit the store and the resort. Which also, this is a total gamble. We don't know if it's open. We don't know. We don't have a phone number. We can't call someone and see if this thing is. All I saw that yesterday, I just saw a store, and I thought, hey, I'm out of cigarettes. I don't have any wine. And Tejas agreed that wine would be worth it. So we're going to try to do the alternative route, which is 6 miles, and then get back on PCT and at least just camp somewhere back on trail. That way we're like ready to go in the morning. And then I think that will set us up to only be maybe 15 miles from Belden, where my plan is that I'm having a box shipped to the Brattons, that are Trail Angel house. Also don't know how to get to their house. That's not really listed anywhere. So hopefully I get some sort of internet reception on one of these ridges. We've only got about 1,000 more feet to climb today. So even the spring I'm looking for is called Lookout Spring. So I'm thinking that we'll maybe get a little bit of reception out here, and I can get some directions to the Bratton's house. But my strategy is to get a box there. There's 7 days of food. I only need 5, so I'm going to just carry the extra food to make my resupply in Old Station a lot easier, which is like another 90 miles away or something like that. So, pardon me. Excuse me. Yes, the Bucks Lake alternative. That will lead us to Belden. Let me see what mile Belden is at. Belden is at mile 1284. So 27 from where I'm at. If we go to there, it'd still be like a good 15, 16 miles into the Bratton. So hopefully, I don't know what Tejas's resupply is for Belden. She might be getting off to meet her brother and sister. But if that is the case, I would definitely like to just get my box from the Brattons and then jump back on trail and not have to spend the night or get too far off of trail. And then I'm sure we'd just meet up later or something like that. So that is my plan so far. I will probably wait to record again until the Brattons, unless while I'm charging all my stuff at the resort or the store on the Bucks Lake alternative. Then maybe I'll pull out the recorder then and just give you guys a little bit of words of wisdom, as I do, the words of wisdom just come flowing through me. It's ridiculous. I don't think I've talked about it, but it is odd. I've picked up smoking cigarettes on the trail. It started kind of with dwindling weed and then turning that into spliffs and then running out of weed fully and then just smoking cigarettes. And now it just seems so natural. It's not some like weird thing. At first I was like, wow, look at me. I'm smoking a cigarette. This doesn't make sense. And to now it's just like natural and it seems like fine. But I smoked my last cigarette yesterday. So I'm about 24 hours right now with none. And I don't know. It doesn't really bother me. There's no pull. But there is also the potential of having more later today. So maybe that's what makes it not so bad. It's not like it's like 5 days away or something like that. I guess what I'm getting at is that I don't feel addictive. I'm sure there are addictive properties still. I mean, they're the American spirits, but anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. I've probably mentioned that like every time I record, and I think I hadn't mentioned it. Also, my trail name is Jafar. Sometimes I don't think I say that enough. I know you've heard that. I know you've heard the story of the Jafar trail name, but I don't say it enough. So I'm going to start referring to myself as Jafar, and maybe I'll talk about how the cigarette progression goes, or the if I feel addicted later or something. I don't know. Anyways, I'm rambling. I have nothing else to say. Potential for beer, wine, cigarettes later today. If not, we'll be at the Bratton's the next day. I got a box. I'm super happy. And then our next stop is Old Station, I believe. Old Station, California, where I have a package waiting from my sweet, dear mother. And I cannot wait to get that. It's going to be awesome. Alright, I'm having a great time. PCT is treating me great. We've been going through some sections here that are just absolutely amazing. Lots of ridge walking and going down into canyons and then back up, and then currently yesterday was all down switchbacks, and today is going all up switchbacks. But I have a feeling we're about to pop up on a ridge here and start doing some sweet hiking. So today's total elevation up is going to be about 6,000 feet, which is a big day for us. But considering that we've already done about 4 of that, my legs feel great. The trekking poles are amazing. I also remembered, later, maybe at the halfway point, I'm going to do a podcast just based on my gear list only. So like I'll just dissect my entire backpack. I'll lay every single thing out, and I'll tell you what's worked for me, what I sent home, what I started with, what maybe I still want to change. At this point, I think everything is done. Like, I'm going to Canada with everything I have, mostly out of there's a couple things I could upgrade, which I'll talk about, but it's all dialed in, and I'll go over what's really been working for me and what I like and how I like to use it. I think that would be really helpful, because I know before I started the PCT, I was just trying to find any YouTube video on gearlist or post holers or just any kind of white blaze, something that had like a gear list for people that were doing a hike. So I'll tell you what you need and what you don't need, and what will work and where it won't. You can get an elaborate strategy, but I tried to keep mine to where I was not mailing stuff to myself or had winter gear or anything like that. So I've been happy with all my decisions. It's been on the heavier side of a base weight, but wow, this is going to turn into a gear podcast. Okay, I'm done. I am done. I'm going to start hiking. I'm going to take a little smoke break here, recharge my batteries. Looks like this thing is almost out of batteries. So maybe I'll record later today. Maybe I won't. All right. I will talk to you guys later. I love you all so much. Goodbye.